Hi friends, Dr. Joe here. I hope you all are doing great and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to discuss how to draw a proper trend line. Oops, sorry. Not trend line, a trend line zone. This word trend line creates a lot of problem because we hear everywhere trend line, we get confused and we try to draw a line, and that is the biggest problem. Actually, it's not a trend line, it's a trend line zone. So let us try and understand in this video how to draw a proper trend line zone. So what happens when people are confused and then they try to draw a trend line? This is what happens. They take a chart, they see a point, they wait for the price to go up, then they wait for the price to come down, and then they draw a line from point number one. And then they see that the point number two is not touching the trend line. So they are confused. Then they wait for point number three and they see that the point number three, the price has gone below the trend line. And then they say this is not a good trend line. This cannot be used to take a good trade because in one case it is perfect, the second case it is up, and in the third case it is down. Let us look at another scenario if the person tries to draw a trend line based on the second point. So the second point they take as the base and they draw a trend line. Then in that case, the first point and the third point has gone below the trend line. Again, they will say, this is not a good trend line. Let us take a third case. In a third case, they're using point number three to draw a trend line. And in this case, point number three is perfect, but point number one and point number two, they both are up. So the trader is confused. The trader does not understand what to do. And the trader is thinking how to draw a proper trend line. And because they are not able to draw a proper trend line, they are not able to enter into good trades. So the most important thing is to understand that there are some rules which you have to follow to draw a proper trend line zone. So what are the rules? So normally traders say that there should be 2 points of contact. I say that there should be minimum 3 points of contact. Because if you try to take 2 points of contact, you will not be able to draw a proper trend line zone. It is always better to have 3 points. I will show you in an example after this. Now, whenever you're drawing a trend line zone, you have to make sure that some part of the price or some part of the candlestick should be in that trend line zone. Then you can consider it as point number one or point number two or point number three. It can be the tail, it can be the body, it can be the high, it can be the low, whatever. Some part of the candlestick should be in the trend line zone. It is valid trend line. So since I mentioned the word zone, you will always have to draw two lines. One should be a little bit on the higher side and one should be a little bit on the lower side. This way, you will make sure that the price is falling in between the zones and you'll be able to take a trade at the fourth contact point or the fifth contact point. And before you enter into a trade at the fourth contact point or the fifth contact point, also try to see if that contact point, that is that trend line zone support, is also a point where the price had made a resistance earlier. If you can find like this confluence, then your trade will be more stronger. And this way you will be able to enter into better trades or you will be able to enter into better investments. Now using these points, let us draw a proper trend line zone and see how we can draw a proper trend line zone in the same chart that we saw earlier where we were trying to draw trend lines. It is very, very easy. All you need to make sure is your concepts are clear. So you wait for point number one, the price makes a low. Then you wait for point number two for the second low. Then you wait for point number three for the price to make a third low. When the price makes a third low, that is when you have to draw your first trend line. Now in the first trend line, draw it a little bit up. That means all the three touch points are inside the trend line or touching or going through the trend line. Then you draw a parallel line which will be a little bit more lower like you can see on the chart. Now this way, point number one, point number two and point number three all of them, is touching the trend line zone. When the price reaches the trend line zone for the fourth time, this is where you have to get ready for a trade. But like I said earlier, if you really want a golden confluence, try to see if that point number 4 was also a price point earlier that it was a resistance. So an earlier resistance now has become a support and the price is also touching the trend line zone is a perfect combination to enter into a trade. And then you enter into a trade, you put your stop loss below the support zone, and there you go. You have entered a wonderful trade and you have made great profits. Isn't it very simple? So, friends, I hope that this video, which is so simple, has made it very, very clear to you that trading is actually very, very simple, but you have to learn to make it simple. So, use this formula to draw your trend line zones, and you will see that your trades will be much better in coming times. Keeping your trading and investment simple is the key to success in the stock markets. Another important thing is never rush into a trade or an investment. Wait for the setup to get completed and then you enter the trade. If your confluence is not complete, let it go. You will get another opportunity in the stock market because the stock market is full of opportunities to make wealth. But only the people who wait with patience and persistence will be able to make the wealth. That's very important. Friends, all I can say is keep learning, keep growing, keep getting better every single day. Friends, I have a community called as Masters of Stock Market, where we meet together, discuss about good stocks and good trading opportunities. If you're interested to join the community, the link is there in the description. And friends, if you love the way I'm creating these videos, which are so simple and easy to understand, please like, share, and subscribe these videos because it really motivates me to make more videos for you. Thank you. Namaskar.